Yay! We've connected across many miles.
Yeah. It's nice to see you, Ellen.
Yeah, it's very nice to see each one of you. So how we usually start these calls is we kind of drop into our heart space for a few minutes. And then after that, we'll talk about the subject and share tips of what's working for us. And because today's call is on conscious relationships, you guys will, I think we'll just do it spontaneously and see how it evolves, because it's a small group. And there may be people watching this later, so welcome to you if you're watching this on the replay. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone. It's not one of my favorite holidays, but let me just talk a little bit in case other people pop on about this idea of love and what it really is. But for me, the highest and most important relationship is my relationship with myself and my inner being and divinity. And then from there, I think if I have that in alignment, then other things, follow and flow. And so from that premise, I think relationships are our source of sometimes our greatest highs and our greatest lows. And so there's this wonderful opportunity to cultivate both a path of spiritual growth and expansion and a very harmonious, loving, kind, and devoted kind of love. And so that's why I invited you guys on today, Bridget and Bjorn and Kevin and Nikki, to share your tips for us. And let's take it from there. So why don't we just breathe in, and however you want to get into your heart space, breathe in deeply. Think of something you're grateful for that brings you love. And set the intention for this group energy. We allow Spirit to present through us, to express through us, connect us through love and light for the highest of all beings. Any cares of the morning or technology, let's put them aside. Drop deeply into this place of love, of which we truly are. Know that each one of us is perfect just as we are. In this moment, all possibilities exist. We invite in that which fills our hearts and souls with great joy, with great excitement, and with great reverence for the gift of being alive. Let's take a few more deep breaths, grounding that energy into the earth and allowing it to flow through our crown chakras throughout our bodies. And when you're ready, do what you can, whether a little wiggle or hug yourself and just come back to this moment and open your eyes. Hi. Maybe I'll just ask if one of the couples want to start and share some tips for us. How about Kevin and Nikki? Because they're braving the cold this.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to be I want to just be really clear. I'm no relationship expert. But I was a bachelor for 50 years. So, and so I'm still learning the ropes. And Valentine's Day is an interesting day. I think I was much younger in my life when I reclaimed the holidays for myself, when I stripped the commercialization out of it. And so Valentine's Day, I'm still working on that. Maybe that's why you don't like it so much, Ellen, but we have so many commercialized holidays. I mean, how do we strip it and get back to the essence of, just love? And not being an expert on love and relationships, I'll just share that what I know for myself is I'm happier than I've ever been in my life, right? And I'm also very challenged at relating in a good and in a positive, healthy way. So I'll leave it at that.
Let's see. I have a good deal of experience with long-term relationships, and I can tell you that longevity is not a sign of a healthy relationship. And what I've experienced in my partnership with Kevin is that it's a partnership. And even though I've probably felt the biggest challenges with Kevin, I can say it's because the love that we have and the way we cherish the relationship as kind of a separate entity of ourselves. The intensity of the beauty of the relationship is far greater than anything I've ever experienced. So as we're learning to navigate through things together, we're finding more balance in how we come through the challenges. And it's been quite beautiful. So, yeah.
I like that, the intensity of the beauty. There's an underlying, hint of emotional highs and lows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. I feel like, we're all let somebody else in. Hi, welcome, Suzanne. We're just kind of getting started here. And there's no crucial 1 hour timeline, but I want to respect everyone's contribution offer, and we'll end it. But if everyone's still on, we can keep going. So I want to also make a disclaimer that there's so many different forms of relationships, and though where everyone is, whether you're single or in an intimate relationship, whether it's one that is more of a traditional male and female, if it's other gender oriented, if it's polyamory that is important, all of these ways of relating are all sacred, and they are all have value. And so this isn't to say that because this isn't representing all forms of connections that we're excluding them. It's just, this is what this version of this call is about. But in the future, it'd be lovely to bring in more diversity and have a conversation at a deeper level. But in a short amount of time, this is what we're broaching today. So if anyone doesn't feel represented here, I apologize for that, and say, that the gist of what we're talking about is universal. It's about communication from the heart and allowing our emotions to arise, but not identify them as ourselves. And that's really key, is to recognize that we are eternal love spirit, and we have bodies, and we're doing our best to communicate in these bodies to share the love that we are. And all ways are valid and beautiful, and important to the whole. So with that, I will go and turn the talking stick over to Bridget and Bjorn.
Okay.
All right. How's the sound? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
Good.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just being in this space here, Ellen, and feeling this realness and authenticity and the warmth of how you hold the space really resonates with me. And then listening to you, Nikki and Kevin, I am, again, touched by the vulnerability of like being here as a couple and talking about relationship and in a way being expected to be the authority and just coming out right away like I'm not the authority of relationships. And it really lands in a wonderful way with me because I'm finding myself on the same page. Experience, yes. Like we've been like together for 24 and a half years, like, which is crazy. Married like, since 98. And so, experience a lot and expertise, maybe here and there, but it resonates so much with me that there's really no goal, nothing to grasp for in relationship, not like that, like here's my 3 ways how to have like an amazing, always happy, enlightened relationship, because I don't know if that's what you're saying, but I feel strongly that there is no enlightened, happily ever after relationship, and there's a lot of resistance and a lot of stuff coming up, especially long term, and especially if the connection is very deep and very intimate. And it kind of goes hand in hand, like you cannot, or at least that's my take, I cannot just be in an amazing relationship with her without encountering my darkest fears and pain. And it has been coming up, and I don't foresee that ever to end, nor am I striving to have that ever end. But I'm really welcoming being present in this beautiful dance of light and shadow, and I'm really soaking it in. And I think this is maybe, if there's any kind of tip that I have for relationship, is that as long as I can stay open to be with all of the emotions in this, like, sometimes triggering relationship, and it will, relationships are always triggering at some point, and to be with that, that's really where it can turn into a great supporting modality in my life of like getting to know myself more, actually, like through being with whatever she's bringing up in me and not making it about her, but actually having that land in me and settle and digest it myself for this is my part. So it's actually a great gift and a great opportunity to get to know myself better. And that's already all I want to say.
And I can just develop that a little bit. I think what he's talking about, what we've talked about, is this idea of radical self-responsibility, which sounds a little harsh sometimes. But yeah, the idea is in being together, he's always reflecting to me. If I'm in trigger, he's always reflecting to me. Should I let that go?
Yeah, I think then I can move a little bit. Thank you.
Let's move this a little closer. Always reflecting to me something that lives inside of me. So sometimes it's easy for me to look at him and be like, why are you being such an asshole? and then to be able to pause and go, okay, whatever's happening there is something, he's showing this for me to look in here. So it may not be directly translatable, but something of what he brings to me lives in here, and it's for me to look at. And that is that is a big piece, I think, of what we share often, is how to be in radical self-responsibility. Like whatever he brings, I can choose to make a boundary, or I can choose to go in and find it in myself. Maybe I can even choose to do both. But this is how I can keep showing up. So as long as I'm going to make it about him and he's the one in power and I'm the victim, I have no choice in the matter. But if I can remember, wow, I always have choice in this relationship to show up and to look into myself, then we always have a chance to reconnect, usually on a deeper level. So we can go, yeah, I second that. It can be really hard. We can go really deep, but that's also what springs us into the really expanded, or the really high, or the really wide and joyful. But I think we both feel like, as humans in relationship, we aren't here to become enlightened and have it all easy, but to be in the game of being human, to be in the triggers, in the challenges, in the showing up, in the shrinking back, in the creating boundaries, in the coming back together, and just allowing all of the parts to be here as they show up. And it's super hard. It can be super hard to do. Like, there are definitely moments where I think, excuse me, fuck this, I'm done. I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I know it'll show up again for me. Maybe that's going to be easier somewhere else. And then sit for a few minutes or a few hours and remember this connection and this love and the worth itness to keep showing up in all those parts. So yeah, I'll pause there.
I just really want to say yes. Yes, I wish I could articulate it as perfectly and beautifully as you two did. Thank you so much. Yes.
Mm. You're welcome.
In my view, you already did, no?
Yeah,
It was your
you
version
did.
of the same, and I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, I also want to give, because I'm not in a partnership right now, although I've been in quite a few long-term committed kind of formats of relationship, that part of it is also letting go with love. And that's been my journey. It hasn't always been my desire, but it's been my journey, that when sometimes love calls us to do things that are challenging, and at this unconditional level of love is, my love for you is greater than my desire to be with you. If that brings you more joy to, do something else that is beyond what I am choosing right now. And so a lot of my mirroring has been for those reasons. Even, early on in my life, when I went to Africa, I had a boyfriend and I went off to Peace Corps. I was always expanding and making choices that would be challenging for myself, but because of that, it spurred me to grow and to really look as everything's a mirror to me. And I agree with both of what you're saying, that it's so easy to drop in that place of, well, obviously it's them or him or her, but when I have that moment of connecting again to the heart and the wisdom, and really it's not really heart or mind, but the alignment that I like to refer as, alignment between heart, mind, will, and soul. When I'm in that place, I see things in a much more expanded view, and I realize, oh, this person is mirroring me, and here's an opportunity. Sometimes it can be challenged, but if I look at it, oh, this is an opportunity to really embrace this moment, and without trying to control the outcome, and to give up being right for being present in the now. And also for me to know when it's time just to be quiet and listen. And sometimes all we're looking at from one another is to be heard or seen or witnessed, or we can't necessarily always understand one another, but we can come from this place of love where it just makes living worthwhile and beautiful. So Anyone want to add to that, or ask a question, or do you guys want to, develop more of your own sharing? However we want to go from here is perfect.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Ellen knows my story already, but I went against type. I used to go for the dreamy looking, doe-eyed, Hollywood back looking guys, and they were all assholes basically. And also I'm actually disabled. I've got 2 artificial legs, but I was quite mobile, and I used to go to discos and meet guys, and the minute they found out I was disabled, they'd be off like a shot. So that was pretty miserable. But yeah, I went against type, and I went out with this guy that I never thought I'd ever go out, much less marry. And we've now been together for over 17 years. And yes, even though it was a wonderful wedding and perfect and blah, 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 you still have to work damn hard in the marriage. You have to, and to make it happen. Too many kids today, they get married and then they're like, oh, I can't handle this. And then they're off. No, you've really got to work at it to make a marriage last. That I learned. But also the wonderful thing that happened for me, particularly the last 2 years ago, we were going through some pretty hellish stuff, and it's just before I got involved. Human harmonics came along at the right moment for me. It literally came at the right time, and I knew that was fate. And yeah, because things were going really, really bad. We were landlord and landlady of this place, and these tenants were costing us a ruddy fortune. They were not very nice people, and it cost us a lot of money and a lot of heartache, and a couple of times I was ready to divorce my husband, but we stuck at it and we hung in there. We got through it, and I said to him, my God, nothing can destroy this now. We've been through so much crap that, and to come out the other side of something that's been so strenuous and tough, when you come out the other side and you realize you're still strong and you're still together and you've come through it, that to me is a heck of an achievement in a marriage. And I know we'll still have our ups and downs, but you feel like you can handle anything sometimes. And so, yeah, that's my story. I might go and get him. I might try and get him in then. I'll go and see. I'll go and try. Hang on. Hey, honey, this is about relationships.
Nothing like being on the spot, right? Hi, Suzanne. Oh, good.
Hi, I didn't want to pop in, because I was invited by M. We are in a different group every other Friday. And so she invited me to this event. I didn't know exactly what it was about, and it's interesting. I very much want to go a little bit further on what you said, Penny, because I was in a long-term relationship about 17 years with someone. And now we are such great friends, but we're separated. And guess who sent me a Valentine's card and, a few little emails to tell me that his insurance was covering something, that, that my medical bills or something like that, And we just joke around, and it's like we met when we were teenagers and had other stories and came back together again. It's like almost since I was a teenager that I know this man. So we have these meetings and separations, and other people come into the blend. And I just want to say it's possible that part of the path is just to each go your own way, but keep in touch. And some of it is going to be lousy. You're going to sit in a car with a dark face on, looking at the other guy and just going like, oh my God, I was with this person. Oh boy, did I get away with, phew, I'm so glad I'm not with him anymore. This kind of sort of feeling. But now when I'm sitting with him on going somewhere, it hasn't happened in a while, but it happened this summer, and we just look at each other and we burst out laughing because it's like our whole lives that we're looking at, and it's so fulfilling to feel like, wow, you've been with me all this time. Not necessarily in a relationship that's like fusional, but in a relationship that's real, always real for what's happening inside each person at that moment. And that's really a big trip.
Wow.
Probably soulmates.
Yes, absolutely. I keep saying I would never go with another person that's not my soulmate. I mean, perhaps temporarily, very short-lived something, but a soulmate is someone that you really travel with. So I find it always funny when I'm sort of calling a new soulmate, like Valentine's Day is perfect time for that. So calling someone new, he always pops up. He's always the first person to communicate with me on something. So I'm just saying that. I'm not choosing who's going to be sent.
Oh, I can't get mine to come along and join us. Sorry about that. He's busy watching telly, so he doesn't want to get disturbed. So sorry about that.
I can relate to him not wanting to be on the spot either.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't want to be on the spot. You've got it. That's it. He doesn't want
I was very shy because the level of intimacy is very big. So just coming in front of people that are speaking so intimately, like Bree and Bjorn were speaking just when I came in, and I thought, oop, don't say a word, just stay in the back and listen, because there's a level of intimacy that's really deep here. So I find it very, I can say it's like I'm out of my comfort zone, totally. So it's a really interesting meeting here today.
Well, thanks. For everyone sharing the details, and makes us feel all connected, because we can, I think, all relate to pretty much everything everyone's been sharing. At some point in our lives, we've had similar experiences, and a feeling that there is this desire for individuation and self-expression, and also for love and connection and harmony, and also there is this energy of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We each embody that in different proportions at different times. And this one thing I want to say is that no two relationships are the same. No two people are the same any given day, and no relationship is. So there's a lot of variables going on. And just to be aware that if your life experience is different than anything that any advice somebody else is giving, to always go in and check within what's true for you, because like we said, no one's an expert in your life. only the inner wisdom within can truly guide. And it's really just to share, like I wanted to share today examples of people who find that relationship is very a very important part of their lives, and that richness, and also to maybe dispel some myths that once you've got this high vibe going, everything in your life is kind of this easy flow. And to my experience, I don't know anyone who's actually lives that way. We have these moments of a emotional set point that might be quite high, but even for me, I might not be in despair, but just feeling somehow disconnected from this love that I am, or judgment of somebody else, can feel really bad to me, because I'm used to loving. It's like kind of my frequency is love. And so what might have just been an offhand snide comment when I was younger fighting with my brother, I could never imagine sharing that today, because I've evolved into a place where love is so important to me to be in connection with, that that's what I choose over and over again. And that means that I have to eat humble pie, I will. And if I need to say I need time alone, you know, whatever, or come back. So what do you guys think? What do you feel is something that you've embraced on the journey, whether you want to talk about the balance of divine masculine and feminine, which I know Bridget and Bjorn, you guys work with those energies, or, you know, Nikki and Kevin, any, because Kevin comes from, you know, coaching and emotional intelligence work and these meditations, which are really powerful. So you guys share something that you think would be a benefit to anyone listening.
And I'll jump in. I think just what's coming up for me, not sure if it is in response to what you're talking about, but it's all related, is yeah, I think as I hear other people share, you know, there's always, we have so many options. We can be in relationship or we can be out of relationship. Sometimes we're in relationship because we know we have choice, and sometimes because we don't know we have choice. Sometimes we're out of relationship because we know we have choice, and sometimes because we don't know we have choice. You know, so I think ultimately, like, yeah, each of us has our own path. And what's so beautiful is when we discover that we have choice. We have choice to show up in this relationship with each other. We have choice to say, oh, this relationship isn't, I'm moving to a different place now. I'm moving into a different sphere in my life, or however that happens. So having the empowerment of awareness of choice is so good in relationship. And I think in being together, the thing that comes up for me right now that I think is so important, that I love to share, is the idea, the action actually of curiosity, of being curious. So for anybody who's curious, it's so easy in our relationships to come to a place where we start to say, oh, now I know you. I know who you are. I know how you like your eggs. I know if you like football or soccer better. I know how you appreciate these things versus those. So we start to categorize our partner into, okay, this is who you are. And that can be really detrimental, because the other person probably doesn't want to be put in a box ever. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they do want to be put in a box, but some of the beauty of what we practice, which can be really challenging for me sometimes, is staying curious. Sometimes I like to think that I know about him. I like to think, I know this thing about you. So, you know, last month I made this beautiful meal and you really loved it. He loved it. I'm going to make it again. And I make it this time. And I'm like, how do you like it? And he's like, yeah, it's okay. And what I realize is I've put this love in and this intention because I know that he likes it. And I didn't check in with him to see if he wants that again, or if that would be the right thing tonight for dinner. I mean, this is a very, you know, simplified version example, but it's this practice of always staying curious, not assuming I know who the other person is, and trying to be in the what is the word? In the, it's a really simple word. It's not coming to me right now. But just in the asking, you know, like, oh, checking in. Is this something, if I want to serve you, if I want to give you something beautiful as a gift, is this something that works for you? Being curious and checking in with somebody, and discovering that when I am assuming, and it's not the right thing, it's not the thing that makes deeper connection, that's a place for me to become aware and realize. I realize I'm talking kind of in the circles, but how can we stay connected, really in connection in the now? is what I mean. Not in the past experience and in the future projection, right? But how can we be in connection right now? And that's always changing. And if we're not ready to just be in the changing of each other and ourselves, we're going to run into trouble with our expectations and our disappointments.
Bree, I don't think anyone can truly ever know someone totally anyway. They've all got hidden secrets, every one of us. And sometimes it's best to leave those secrets alone and then just, yeah, you know what I mean? No one can know everyone or know someone completely 100%.
Right.
I don't know if Bjorn will agree with me on that, but.
Well, there's a part in what you're saying that I don't know if it's disagreement or not, but what comes to me is I don't want to be left alone, and I don't want to leave people alone. I think for me, it's a huge gift to help Bree to actually, because the darkest secrets are usually not the conscious secrets. I don't have any conscious secrets from Bree, but the subconscious that I can't even access, no? And they're undermining and paralyzing me in this life, no? So if Bree is there helping me, getting those or bringing some light or inviting these secrets of me, the dark secrets, into the space, I'm actually, as hard as it could be, it's not an easy process, no? That's not what I'm saying, but it's what I want, I want her to help me access who I really am at the core. And I don't want to have secrets, really, I know that I do have them probably, but they're all unconscious, I don't want to consciously hide something from anybody, really, For me, it's what really resonates strongly with me is authenticity and transparency. These are things that I just in total harmony with where I'm at right now. Yeah, so I can see where you're at, and I totally can appreciate that for you. And for me, it looks very different. I'm very inviting of anything, they can bring me to get to know myself more, including all those dark secrets.
And brings me to get to know him more too.
And yeah, the more I know about her, the more I can love her. The more she knows me, the more she can love me. If she doesn't know me, who is she loving? The projection of me, or the shell of me, or the identity that I created in order to be loved. I don't while that is that's usually what we do on default. Next level for me is to be fully and totally myself. And if I'm not loved in that anymore, then that is so. But my senses, the more I find out about, the more parts I get back into the circle here that makes me, all these little particles. I'm not just this, that I'm presenting to the world, but I'm so much more. The more I bring in, the more excited I am actually about myself. And usually that makes other people more excited about myself. So it's counter what we think is the more they find out about us, the less they will love us. It's actually, in my experience, the opposite. The more I know about Bree, the more I love her, really.
The richness.
And the same about me, myself. The more I know about myself, the more I love me, actually.
And it's scary.
Sure. Again, yeah, it's not an easy path, but that's it's a total resonance for me.
Thank you. I really resonate with what everyone's been saying. In my own, I've gone through different phases of practice in relationship, and I used to want to find out everything in a conversation, but what I realize is that the stuff comes up naturally, whether you want it to or not, if it's ready to be looked at and addressed, rather than going with a list of a inquiry is different than a curiosity, and then openness I think is different than needing to know in order to feel it's the balance between allowing and controlling because sometimes in relationship, there can be a dependency that arises that can come from a place of control. But when you're really in a place of heart, it shifts from that to an allowance. And like you said, like the more that comes up and then gets resolved into this like light being shined or shown on some subject that was vulnerable and scary, like you said. And then it's birthed into this new awareness, and you're like, oh, you know, I've expanded. This person I love has expanded, and now it's richer and sweeter than we could have had we not addressed this issue, which was kind of in the background. But the times that I've actually tried to figure it out and like clear this between us and add more energy to a problem, the problem end of the stick got bigger rather than the solution end of the stick. So I've learned in my own interactions with others to be aware of when I'm adding fuel to what I don't want versus what I do want, and to bring it back to that. What I really want more than anything in any moment is to be in alignment with the love that I really am. And it might appear that this other person is keeping me from that, but that's just a faulty perspective in that moment, because I'm in a contracted emotional state. And I might have like these hormones of fear, fight or flight, you know, operating in me. And I'm not going to make a good decision in that moment. So there's two ways I think you can go through that. You can go through those feelings, and at the end of that kind of exploration, get back to this place of love and connection, or I can take time and resolve it within myself. So then I actually come to the place where I perceive another as being perfect, just as he, she, they are in that moment. And that's the greatest joy for me, is realizing is I change me, I shift me, I can love, and in a very unconditional way. And I'm also not in, like I said, a daily partnership right now. So in some ways, it's been easier to practice that, because it's more challenging when you've got life situations that like either work together or you've got kids together. And so if you guys want to talk about that, like how you find like a way of balancing things that might arise when you're a family and you've got, you know, a lot of different ways of being pulled, or your attention can go in many directions. How do you bring it back to these moments of connecting that vessel of your own relationship? Kevin, you're shaking your head. Do you have a comment on that?
I'm just appreciating this whole conversation. Part of me wants to dig in deeper, you know, so I will. I'll tell you what we're working on, and I'll bring it back. So I'm a fan of Harville Hendrix, you know, 25 years of you know, really good research. And Harville says that we tend to attract, you know, a mate with the most challenging characteristics of our caregivers. And Harville says, because our ego wants to relive those challenges and win them. And I say yes. And I also believe that the essence of who we are as infinite beings, as spirits having a human experience, that, you know, we've experienced the contraction of what we're not, and picking up these challenges and pains and triggers and limiting thoughts and beliefs about life that we picked up as children, and to know the contrast of the amazing beings that we are, we have to reface those challenges so our spirit will seek out the opportunity in our mate, so that we can get triggered in those things that triggered us as children, so that we can work through them in a healthy way. And so what we're working on right now is how we can compassionately do that, because I'm aware that I trigger her and her triggers trigger me back. And I could say, well, that's your problem. And she could say, well, that's your problem. Or we could say that's our opportunity to be compassionate with each other, love each other through the trigger, because we're both stuck in the moment in our, you know, 6-year-old selves trying to survive what's really not a threat. So that's, I think, that's just all I want to offer is this other piece of compassion that your partner is, there's so much love there, and the triggers are an opportunity to explore that love. And I love what Bree and Bjorn said about the more we know about each other, the more we know about ourselves, the more we love ourselves and each other. So that's what you get for winding me up.
And I have to say too that I enjoyed Bjorn's awareness of the transparency that happens in relationships. And you know, when you first meet people, you have a tendency to want to put your best self forward, and then once you're down in it and living with somebody, at times without it even being intentional, a lot of your worst self shows up, and then you throw into it a 5-year-old child and a crazy redheaded teenager and all these other things that come in that you have to deal with. Either you can do it individually, but then I think that what happens in our experiences is that we bring it to each other with that transparency. You know, Kevin will say, yeah, I just can't handle your daughter treating you like that. And you know, in one part, because you have a child, you are like, oh my gosh. But then you also
You're okay. You're okay.
Then, you know, the love of my life is sharing with me, you know, a transparent part of him is that he wants to protect me. And now we get a chance to bring it all to the table and decide how we handle it in our coupling. And then I bring it to my daughter, or, you know, or our son or whatever. And we work through it with a little bit of him and a little bit of me, and the wiggle room of it coming together, and present it into life as a unified part of both of us, I guess. I don't know.
That's a good way to say it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's that way. It's not, you know. Yeah, it's not. It's two individual, you know, creating kind of a chemical reaction of something together that takes on a thing of its own based on what we both put into it.
Well, I don't have any children with Pete, but I do find one thing between us is we laugh a lot. and just laughing, you feel so relaxed with each other, and he makes me laugh. He's got a great sense of humor, and I think that's a really important thing in a relationship, to make each other laugh, as well as 100% trust as well. That helps. But yeah, I mean, just laughing a lot, just laughing. That's important.
Good idea.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah, I'll touch in a little bit about kids. And yeah, Kevin and Nikki, what you're talking about resonates for me. I can see when we have those instances that
And just a little, so we have 3 kids.
We have 3 kids. So did we say this already? We've been together 24 years. We have 3 kids, 23, 21, and 11. She was not an accident. She was coming in the dreams, and we lived somewhat alternative, but pretty. I mean, we were in regular life. We were living in a small town in Wisconsin, and then we sold all of our things and became nomadic in 2013, and that really catapulted us into consciously stepping into the unknown. And I think this is like, I think we're always in the unknown. We just think that we know. And when you actually discover you really don't know, and then you just live in it, like, okay, I don't know. What's now? What's now? What's happening for me? What's coming up? What's in this relationship? And starting to learn how to consciously live in the unknown was the beginning for us of immense expansion and more dedicated togetherness and challenge and joy. Like, I would say we spent a long time being pretty much on the same page, floating through life, doing the things we did, agreeing mostly, and, you know, moving along easily. And it's really in the past handful of years that things have gotten really intense between us. And that's getting into this vulnerability and transparency, like really going deeper into those secrets that we thought we would never reveal, and realizing, wow, when we bring light or consciousness to it and begin to reveal or allow it to be kind of gently pulled out of us, however it's happening, this is also a piece of the unknown. We're going in blind, kind of, and like, okay, what's here? How can we look? This has been the richest, most challenging phase of our lives for me, in our coupleness, and a part of that is for me. So having 3 children, I have spent my entire life before children caring for, like, I had the idea. I came in knowing that I need to take care of the people around me. It wasn't so much that anyone forced that on me or that my situation was bad, but the dynamics created the reality for me. Oh, I care for people. This is how I get loved and how I stay safe, into relationship, marriage, children. And Ellen, what you were asking before about balancing this, it's been a really big challenge for me. My biggest challenge probably is finding myself, and allowing my desires and my needs to reveal themselves to me in the first place, so that I can go, oh, that's a piece of me. Oh, that's something that I want to pursue, and that's something that I want to spend some time doing. But I've been so addicted to the role of caretaking, caregiving, that it's been a really big challenge. And I'm not really good at it yet. I have to continuously remind myself, which thankfully I am capable of doing now. I mean, up until a few years ago, I didn't even have awareness that was a possibility for me. And I didn't have awareness that there were things that lived inside of me that I actually want to look at, and I want to start to touch and feel and hold. So still every day, there's something that comes into my awareness. And I realize, oh, I see this piece of me. And in order to give that time and love and space, I have to draw limits with my family. And part of my fear is, who is going to keep me as the mama or the wife if I just show up for myself once in a while? If I say, no, I can't do that for you right now, honey, you have to find someone else to help you or do it yourself, because I'm taking care of myself right now. Who's going to stay with me? Who's going to continue to value me or hold me as this role that this person that I've shown up as all my life? So it's taking a lot of courage for me to draw those boundaries and say, I'm not going to take care of those things for you anymore. I'm not going to drive you here and there. I'm going to let you take care of yourself more and more often. And in that, I also have to learn, how do I discover what's in here, and how can I make the time and space for myself? So it's an everyday practice for me to come back in. Oh, right. I have to listen. I'm really intuitive, and I'm really good at listening for the whole picture. And in that, I'm often avoiding this thing right here. So I'm just in that practice, getting better at, because I know that when I listen to this more clearly, with more space, I'm serving everybody. I know that, but because of whatever I've come through, I don't always trust it. Yeah, that's it.
I really resonate with that. I think you expressed it so eloquently too. That process of, and I think that is something as kids leave nests too. You know, I've had friends who've been in a place of almost like melancholy because they had put aside that, you know, individuated self for so long that it was this huge hole after that transition of kids going off to college. And I think there's also societal shifts going on now. I just want to say also, it's 2:02, and I don't know if anyone has to leave immediately, but the Zoom is open if you want to continue. I want to check in with everyone to see how much time you might want to share, either three or you guys, both couples or the rest of us.
Did I miss the meditation in the beginning? Was there? Did you have intention for us to meditate?
Yeah, we just, you know, did a quick heart connect.
Okay.
So we set the space. Not a really long meditation today.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure being here with you. I'm going to leave now.
Okay.
And I thank you for what you shared. It was very heartfelt and inspiring, and courage on the voyage. It's just one long trip.
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Bye. I am.
Take care.
Thank you.
Nice.
Bye.
So Bjorn and I are good for another 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're flexible. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want everyone to be able to express themselves fully. And I know there are more people's opinions and life experiences to cover. So thank you. Anyone else want to chime in here?
I just want to say I love the bird sound we're getting from Bree and Bjorn. That's so beautiful. Birdies. It's so lovely.
It is so lovely.
Birds. Love birds.
Yep, once in a while cows and a little rippling fish pond here too.
Kevin and Nikki, do you have anything to add on that aspect?
I've heard enough of myself today.
I do want to comment on what I know of Bridget and Bjorn's travels, that, you know, they spent time in Bali, not Mali, Maui and Bali kind of merged. Colorado, and so they're not in this cold that we're in right now, but that I've always been inspired by how fluidly you've been able to navigate these big moves that would be life-changing to some people, but for you with your expansive fluidity, it just seems like you end up someplace and there's great connections and you find a way to contribute and to receive and be in beautiful places. So I think that that's inspiring for a lot of young people who, do you want to mention like what you call unschooling, or that concept of uncoaching and things like that?
Yeah. You want to talk?
Yeah, I think I picked that up. That's yeah, I love how you mentioned that as fluidity, and that is, yeah, there's spaciousness around life that is usually a lot tighter, I think, for a lot of people. And that creates the fluidity and the spontaneousness that we live with. It's not easy, I can say that, you know, it's maybe even harder than like having a regular life. And like unschooling, the idea, I'm just gonna want to briefly, because that's not really the what we're talking about here, but it's relevant for relationships for me anyways. unschooling is really like, instead of taking in more information, it's some pre-digested stuff that somebody tells you that you have to memorize, and then that's how you show up in life, kind of like school would be. You know, you just like the teachers tell you how it is, they teach all the subjects. That might be a stretch for a lot of you, but to me, there's so many stories in the, like everything is a story, nothing is real, no? So in the school, it gets condensed into like 8 subjects or whatever, and that's in reality that gets shoved down the kids' throats. And then according to that, they will show up for the rest of your lives, you know, like debilitated, whatever, debilitated, and never being able to show all of themselves, because they learn to just like take in this outside information on the memory bank that's like so full, you know, that it slows everything else down. And then they can only operate with that little bit of memory space that they have left and the information that's been fed to them, meanwhile ignoring all of what they already know, because we already born here knowing everything we need to know. So that's my take. Nobody has to buy this. I'm not selling it either. But with that being said, we would just like, the kids didn't want to go to school, and we're just like, okay, then don't. No, then let's do unschooling. We don't teach you anything. You just like, you tell me what you want to learn. And so we're open up to watching our kids and opening up around our kids. What are their tendencies? What are they really curious about? No? And then support him in that, you know, like, and that's like our son learned how to read when he was like 12 or something, because it was relevant for him. And people all around would be freaking out because, you know, poor kid will be, you know, like homeless one day. But, you know, like we find out if you don't go, and this is like very big for me, and this is like at the center of uncoaching also, I'm going off, and not because I think I should, but because it's like something that lives in me. And I'm going off the linear trajectory. You know, life has linear trajectory. There's like boxes to check off on the way, you know, like, so, and you got to make sure you study hard for the test, so you check the right box so you can advance and advance and advance on that linear trajectory, in which there's really nothing to accomplish, although it looks like from the outside like you're accomplishing a lot of
you
things.
get A's, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe B's.
Ideally you get A's or you fail or whatever. So it's all about right or wrong, and it doesn't resonate at all with me. You know? So in this part of this fluidity or spaciousness, to me, I look at it as like a non-linear. So I open up to way more than this narrow linear schooling and like trying to hold on to information, to push away like what I don't want and strive for what I want. You know, this whole life as a rat race, no, that is very popular these days. No, doesn't resonate with me. No, I want a life where I can access all the aspects and where I can live all my aspects, no, and not have to wait for retirement to live the life that I want, no, which then I won't do. No, I don't know anybody who did. No, so from the surface to the depths. Now, like a surface is kind of like 2D, but as soon as you get depths in there, you have a lot. You have space, no, and so to me, I want to like and this is very relevant for relationships too. You know, if I stay on the surface, you know, then there's always this unknown factor of depth. You know, I invite triggers. I want to be triggered. I want to trigger Brie, you know, because that is for me, it's a modality. Yeah, and yeah, it's not easy.
You're
Again, you know, all of this is not easy.
You're a very brave man.
Sure. Yeah, no, I react to it for sure. You know, like I'm not immune. I'm not a master of it, but I'm invited in as like a modality to have this whole thing 3D. And without 3D, there's not really life, as I look at it. For me, you know, 2D is just like I'm just like on the surface, you know, scratching. And
Can I just an important thing that you've said to me that's important there, that I love and hate and love is, Brie, it's not your job to not trigger me. It's not your job to not trigger me. Mm-hmm. You have no control over that, actually. I will be triggered or I won't be triggered. You know, I mean, I could do the dance and try to avoid it, but what?
Yeah, I hate tiptoeing, really. No, I love it to be like that. Like a really full on trigger.
Because it's the only place we really get to it. that's the only place that we really get to what else is real. So, okay, sorry, go ahead.
So I invite all of it in, you know, like also like invite the maybe the fury that comes with it, you know, and like I love it. I'm just like, yeah, that feels good. I'm angry, you know. Wow, you know, there's a lot of force there, and to me, like, and I work a lot with clients. Also, one of the main things, also in relationship, is that we don't express or allow our emotions. Not all of it. We allow the like. I'm sweet me. I'm like always happy, and maybe I can cry here and there. That's okay too. But anger is like a no-no. And to me, like anger is just it's stuck life force energy, you know. So no anger, no life force. You know, like it's kind of like people oftentimes are feeling like, oh my God, life is so hard and there's like so much to do and I feel tired and such. And to me, there's a great potential living in us, no? And it might not be anger for you, it might be something else, but just for everybody, there's a certain emotion that's a no-no. And again, in relationship, this is such a great opportunity to dig into all the emotions and watch myself, hate myself having these, or censor myself, or not allow myself to, show this emotion, maybe even not even be aware that this is a possibility, you know. So I mean, this is so huge that I cannot not even sum it all up in a few minutes, but this is like, I think it's a lot of little seeds thrown out there, you know, like, and as you can tell, you know, as I'm like bouncing around here and my hands are moving all over, this is what excites me, you know. So this is what I live for, because that is inspiration, you know? This is excitement, and this is life and movement, you know? Stuck emotions, you know, it's like the exact opposite, you know. I can't talk about this, no, I shouldn't show this emotion, you know. That makes me vulnerable. Yeah.
And that's what your uncoaching is. I mean, you're actually facilitating the path, opening the space, just holding the space for the client, the person, to just show up fully. And it takes some people a while before they go, oh, all of me can be here? What? And it really, it's amazing, because that's when stuff starts to move. That's when people start to feel the anger they didn't know they have, or feel the sparks of joy they didn't even think they could access, the inspiration, the discovery about relationship, and a whole new perspective on it. It's really beautiful. I love to watch him work, and most of his clients become our friends, and then I'm like, wow, this is so cool to just see how people can move from, this is how I show up because I'm supposed to. I learned all of these restrictions and regulations, to like, wait, I can drop this one. I can drop, oh, I don't know if I want to drop that one, but I'll drop this one. Okay, now I'm ready to drop this one, and more into, wow, I can really show up. And it's actually the best thing I can do, not only for myself, but for impact on the world, whatever that means. I mean, that's not a responsibility, but that's such a gift, such a joy.
Now
You're amazing.
Now I know why Helen wanted us here today. Jordan, you and I coach in a very similar, our the underlying reasons for coaching are in direct alignment. And we may or may not have very similar tools, but where we're going and what we get to is right on the mark. And I really appreciate what you're sharing.
Yeah, thank you. And I had the sense totally, you know, like as soon as you spoke, I was like, oh yeah, there's like, we're doing the same thing. The more modalities, the better, no?
Yeah, it took me, you know, I started this work 14 years ago. It took me a year to feel rage and another year to feel terror. And sometimes I have clients that walk in, you know, I swear, I had a client that was in his inner 60s, and she felt full blown rage. And after we got done, I said, well, that's a really easy emotion for you. She says, I've never felt it in my entire life. And I'm like, you're my teacher. You're my teacher. Took me a year to feel that emotion, and you just walked in here in one day and did it.
Wow.
Wow, that's beautiful. Brought tears to my eyes and goosebumps to my skin.
Likewise.
Yeah. And if you're anything like me, and I assume that is so, like when that happens, I am like elevated,
yeah.
you know, like I'm like because it creates win-win situations, you know? Because the gift that I give becomes the gift that I'm receiving, you know? Like and the other way around, no? And this is like how I see the new world in a way, you know. No more win-lose. It doesn't work, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
God,
good.
I'm so appreciative of each of you and all your, comments and genuine authenticity and sharing and vulnerability for showing up and being on camera and being recorded. All of these things. It's just, it feels rich. Like I could go on for hours and feel like each of you, we wouldn't even scratch the surface of what any of us would have to share, but especially you guys who are stepping into this sharing and really from a genuine place of wanting to empower and uplift and just allow people to be truly themselves and be witnessed is, all of that is a huge gift as this planetary changes are happening, all the strange shifts in power, the way that these systems are shifting. And I think that, coming back to that place, and I agree with you guys for being nomadic, a lot of this, I'm nomadic again. So that feeling of vulnerability and uncertainty, but also knowing I can't go back to the linear because there's not enough life force in it. And genuinely wanting win-win-win on every level, like win-win-win between all people, win-win-win with the earth, win-win-win, whatever we're sharing. And it's no coincidence that, this information of like the authentic, true love within is now needing to be shared for those people who want to escape from the linear, like fear-based, contracted, like littleness, step into, their mastery and their empowered self to live in a more, like you said, not always easier, but more genuine, and also in a vibration that really contributes to this, these newer energies and this beautiful potentiality that we all can embrace right now. And I have a friend who has this method that I think is also good in relationship, like with my relationship with myself, when I'm stumbling or feeling a little like challenged or awkward, that, I might like want to do this great gymnastic move and then like flop on my butt and then get up and just say, ta-da, like they do at the end of the Olympics, because it's like, no matter how you get there, you're still moving forward or into this, place of unknown, and to be okay that sometimes it's not perfect, but claim it anyway. It was perfect for me. It's my authentic ness includes everything, not just the showing up with the dignified, perfect polished appearance, but all the parts of us, that want to be seen and expressed, and sometimes transmute it to a higher level, and sometimes just allowed to be. And that's the opportunity and the gift and the challenge of being alive in these times. And you guys are all awesome, and I really appreciate you. And thanks for joining today.
You're awesome too, Ellen.
Thank you.
She is.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. It's been nice to meet you guys, Kevin and Nikki, Bree and Bjorn.
Nice to meet you too. I would love to add that, sorry, I hear someone's trying, is that Kevin? Maybe I can't see everybody.
I'm trying to get Bree and Bjorn to do a home swap for a month,
Let's talk in summer.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to add that, so we've been out of Wi-Fi and cell service land. We're in the jungle, and we have, I've kind of stepped out of any online work that I'm doing, but I'm really interested in very soon having Wi-Fi and getting back into more online work, doing lives. And if any of you are connected to podcasts or anything where I would just love to be interviewed. I love to talk about unschooling. I love to talk about alternative parenting, freedom parenting, and I love to talk about so many aspects of my life that are so far invisible to a lot of people who are kind of in the mainstream. You know, I think that's often what comes up. People say, wait, what do you do? Wait, how are you? What's unschooling? Wait, you're nomadic with 3 kids and carry on backpacks? Wait. So I'm just inviting that and opening up to any chance to just share this in a wider spread way. So if you can connect me in ways, that would be awesome. So I want to broaden the horizons.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll definitely connect you with a couple people I know. And Human Harmonics is a cooperative. Really, we're figuring ourselves out as we go. But the idea was to not make it be like, okay, the old paradigm seemed to be, there was a guru or teacher, professor or priest or, somebody in authority, and then everyone would be like, do the schooling thing and memorize and repeat. But we all have our own wisdom, and we all have our own really like inner code that wants to be expressed. And so the idea was to create a place where people could share, and just in the exchange of energy and ideas and enthusiasm and love, that we all blossom in these new ways. And so that's an invitation too for anyone who wants to, or know anyone else who wants to be a part of us, because it's like I can feel the vibration of these forms that are yet to be. And I feel like one of my callings is to hold the form until it becomes form. So again, it's not mainstream, and I don't expect people to always get me or understand me, but I feel like I'm kind of planting seeds, and other people who have the structure are coming up and saying, oh, we could do this, we could do this. So yeah, I invite all of you to stay in touch with Human Harmonics in any way that you feel inspired to. And I'll also send you a friend who does podcasting that will be an opportunity for you to be a part of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So much love. Mm-hmm. Brian, do you want to say anything? Brian's our
Jay.
at Human Harmonics.
Yeah. Astrologically, I do have one comment.
Okay.
I've been around a long time, so when Pluto went into Libra, it was back in the 70s. But before then, the word relationship didn't exist. It did not. You went steady, you're dating or something like that, but relationship came in when Pluto, the revolutionary planet, came into Libra, the sign of relationship. And I've been observing that ever since. And right at the beginning of the 70s, I did get involved with somebody, and she told me that we were in a relationship. I went, what? What? And that really did change things. You meet the grandmother, the dog, all the grandchildren. And so you kind of have time doing all of that, and you have less time with the person. But I had to go through a whole new consciousness about that. But it came in back in those days. That's all I want to say. So I do like everybody. It looks like you're all successful, really doing the thing that I would have imagined could have happened from those days. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any comments? You've been the quietest among all.
Yes. Oh, we're still in Mercury retrograde, so that's if everybody could talk the way we did. That's a perfect Mercury retrograde session right here, because it's the thoughts, the energies. You're considering it. It's like suspension in time, And everybody's saying it's an Aquarius, which is a very acceptable sign for dealing with associative patterns and friendships and dreams and ideals. Everything you guys are talking about is a different world, what you're doing out there. So I'm real curious about how that works these days. But So yeah, relationship is definitely a new word back then. So it never happened until then. But look what happened. Everybody's in a relationship now, right? It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, no, no, I enjoyed everything you guys are talking about. It's very esoteric, actually. So, you know, you kind of stayed up on the plateau there, and you never went anywhere except higher. So, how do you do that? You know, it's amazing what you're all doing. So, but anyway, I do the astrology here, so that's it. If you're all interested in that, I couldn't help but thinking about it. An astrological a thing that we do is called synastry, SYNASTRY, and it's the study of relationships. And you know, everybody has their own astrological chart, but at the same time, you have a chart of a relationship. So you take the chart of you and her, and then you put them together, you come up with a third one, it becomes the chart of the relationship and why you're together as an entity into itself. It's like having a child. And so I was thinking about that too. I call it fusion because that's what you do. You mix together and all that. Very informative sometimes. Right, Ellen?
Yeah, yeah. I think your gifts are very insightful. I feel like it helps me when Brian's done a reading for me, helped me understand some of these things that I thought that, you know, maybe I was, you know, failing at an approach where he said, no, it actually seems like, you know, because of this influence that was something that you intended to do, to like mix it up or go into what do we call like the wounded healer and kind of be involved in things that are challenging to approach that way. So it's been interesting and helpful to get his insights and wisdom in many diverse ways. Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, thank you guys again. Really appreciate your energy, your hearts. And, you know, may you continue to shine your light, and as we all step into this this love that we are in greater ways, it's nice to have a community and a tribe just to know that.
A big hug, group hug.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I'm off to watch a romantic movie with my husband now at 9:30 at night. So okay. Nice to meet you guys. Take
Nice
care.
to meet you too.
Bye-bye.
It's been sweet to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks,
See you
Al.
again sometime.
Bye.
And
Bye-bye.
thank you.